Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So this is the next video in our Valentine's Day series for 2024. So I don't really know whether I should be calling it that because the cards that we're creating aren't necessarily Valentine's Day themed. And I did say that in my first video. I literally need one Valentine's Day card and that would be for my husband. So past that, I wouldn't really have anything, any use for Valentine's Day cards because I don't sell them. I can give some of them away, but yeah, I don't really use them. So I wanted to kind of loosely work around that theme, and because it's this time of year, and go with more sending love, sending like happy thoughts, happy mail, that kind of thing is where I'm sort of going with my cards for this series. And I feel like maybe, unless you do sell your cards, that, you know, or you do sort of give them away to a lot of people, that maybe you guys will be in the same boat. I don't know, but that's just my sort of assumption. So with this series, we're going very loosely around the theme of, like I said, love, sending happy thoughts, happy mail, things like that. But I also want to incorporate and really use a lot of my stash here and use things that aren't kind of traditional or typical for that kind of themed card. So today, we are creating cards that have got chickens on them, and I absolutely love how these turned out. They're really fun. I tried to stick with a kind of color theme, so I went with the purples for this card. So I think the inks that I'm using for my blending is Seedless Preserve, Milled Lavender, and I think it was Wilted Violet. So I sort of stuck with those kind of colors. So you know, quite traditional, I think, sort of pinks and purples for Valentine's Day. So I sort of stuck within that colour theme and with the sentiments that I picked to put on the cards as well. But yeah, we're just sort of using up some of our supplies. Why can't chickens be used for a love themed card? Really is what I'm going with here. And hopefully you guys will agree that, you know, it just works. We have so much creative control when we create our cards. Sometimes I think we get a bit too bogged down with trying to make everything realistic and everything has to be kind of just right. But it really doesn't have to be like that. You know, we can literally make it whatever we want it to be, and that's really what the fun of sort of card making is, to be honest. So yeah, we're using chickens for today's cards. This is a layering stencil, so there's 3 stencils in here. We also have a stamp set which is going to add some details for like the feathers. It's going to add some beaks and some legs as well onto this. And then we do have a stamp set which coordinates and has some really nice puns, and then that has a coordinating die with it as well. So we're going to use all of those products on today's cards. I am making 2 cards since I've got my supplies out. Why not? Obviously sometimes it takes a little bit longer to create that second card, but you know, why not? Like I said, you've got all your cards out. You don't always have to make unique cards, like, you know, where you literally make one and you never make that card again. Of course, you know, that does happen obviously, but why not just create a couple of cards while you've got everything out, you're doing that design, and yeah, just kind of sit and play and have some fun. So that's what I've done. I thought it'd be easier just to pop my card panels onto my 2 sticky mats, and I just moved then my stencils from card to card, and it worked really well. It was quite fast. The only thing that really was quite time consuming with these cards was stamping these details now, just because I was trying to work out which ones I wanted to put them on, because you do have different stamps for whether your chicken is facing to the left or to the right. So I did kind of have to sit and look and see which ones I wanted to stamp. So that was probably the longest thing that took me here. But if you did want to add these details, you absolutely don't have to. Like, I think the background looked fine just as it was, with just those outlines. Maybe the legs, possibly. Like, if you wanted to stamp at least one thing, like it could just be the legs there. And you've got a couple different leg choices to stamp as well. So I'm stamping this in that Wilted Violet. I don't know about you guys, and I do feel the same when it comes to stamping the sentiment, because I use Seedless Preserves for that, but I don't think distress inks are the best for just doing stamping. I think, I don't know what it is, I never really get a really great stamped impression, so I will put my sentiment into my stamping platform just so I can stamp it a bunch of times to get that good sort of stamping result. But other than that, yeah, I don't find that I get great results through stamping with the distressed inks anyway. So yeah, you can see that I'm just going back and forth. I'm just having a look to see which ones, you know, I'm making sure that I don't miss any. So like I said, this probably was the most time consuming part of it, but I really think it was worth the effort, sort of having all these details on here. I didn't add the details to like the feathers to the darker chickens from the seedless preserve, but definitely for the milled lavender, where I knew you would see it, I definitely added those details onto there. So yeah, just going through and just finishing all these stamping off. So I really hope you're enjoying this series. Like I said, you know, I haven't done specific Valentine's Day because I don't have tons and tons of product which is love and Valentine's Day themed, and like I said, I don't need to make that many cards for it, so I would rather make cards that I can actually use and that can be used all year round, opposed to kind of after February the 14th. It's, you sort of think, what am I going to do with this now if it says, you know, happy Valentine's Day? But again, if you give lots of your cards away, if you sell your cards, then obviously it makes sense, you know, as long as you don't have tons left over at the end of it. Like, I think that's the biggest problem. I struggle to find what to do with my cards anyway, without then having super specific. Like, I try to give away all of my Christmas cards because I know, you know, every year as a card maker you're going to make tons and tons more cards for Christmas, and then I don't really want to have like last year's cards left over that I'm still trying to find a home for like this year. So yeah, I'm trying to be just a little bit more selective, but I do give the cards to my local community centre. That's where I gave my last batch of cards to, so yeah, definitely found a home for those. So back to card making. So you can see that I have die cut my stencil panels with a scalloped edge square, and I've just put some foam on this. This is a slightly thicker foam here, so it's going to stand up quite nicely, and I find with simpler cards having a little bit more dimension will just keep them a little more interesting. And I've popped that onto the back. I think this is mauve, and I thought this would work nicely just with that colour combination. You've got a slightly different colour here, but yeah, I do think that they work really well together. And then I'm just going to glue that onto my card base. And so the sentiments, I couldn't remember what they were, but we've got "You're one cool chick," and I get by with a little help from my hens. So again, not like, it's all implied. It's implied love. It's implied, you know, send in love and things like that, which I think is really nice just to be able to use all year round. So you can see that I stamped those, and yeah, I had to get my stamping platform out because I was stamping that in the seedless preserves. So I did need to do that a couple more times, but yeah, I just find I don't always get like the best results when I stamp with my distress inks, which is a little bit annoying. I do have all of the colours apart from the new pack of 4 that's come out. But yeah, sometimes it's a little frustrating that they don't kind of stamp particularly well. So I wonder, not that I really need another set of ink pads, but sometimes I do wonder about a different set of inks. Like with my Prism inks by Hunky Dory, I never really had that problem too much. So I don't know, maybe these inks are just, the distress inks are more for just blending together. Maybe that is their purpose, and that's fantastic. But yeah, just not so much for sort of stamping images or solid images or anything like that. So yeah, I cut these out with the coordinating dies, and then for some reason I was just holding it in place instead of gluing it. I don't know why I was doing that. So then I went ahead and just glued this onto a little scrap of that same purple cardstock, and then carried on fussy cutting around those. Yeah, sometimes I just wish that we had a coordinating die and then a shadow die with it as well. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, I just think it would be a little bit nicer. But I then decided that I didn't like how that looked. So I got another piece of scrap card and basically just, yeah, managed to peel it off, luckily. But I just then cut around this as a square, as a rectangle. I thought it just helped to stand out a little bit more. But sometimes I get a bit frustrated with myself, if I'm honest, with my card making, because I don't know if I'm always in a little bit of a hurry. I think sometimes that's my problem. Like, I start a project and I don't know, maybe it's a bit different now because I have a baby. But sometimes I feel like I'm always just in a little bit of a rush. And then when I look back and kind of do these voiceovers and things, I sort of look at them and think, oh, if I had done this, it's always in hindsight, isn't it? But I always think if I had done this instead of that, or did a little bit of heat embossing or whatever, maybe they would look a little better. I don't know, but I really love how these cards turned out. I think the chickens are absolutely hilarious, and I want to make them again in, you know, the actual proper sort of brown colours as well. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So that is, these cards are finished. Basically, I don't do anything else to them. I really love how they have turned out. So if you like these cards as well, give this video a thumbs up to help support my channel, and it just helps get my videos out there into the YouTube algorithm. But that is going to be it for this video. So thanks very much for watching and happy crafting.